but tell people out there watching that might not know about you a little bit about you.
A little bit about me. I'm Daria. I am trying to find my way in this chaotic world, like all of us, I guess.
Yeah, amen.
I was a professional fighter, a professional kickboxer for 15 years. I am a striking coach now, mostly for MMA, for the big boys usually. I don't know how it is that always the heavyweights find their way into my place. So, yeah, I live in Germany and in Poland. I travel around the world, train and teach in many big teams, work together with many good teams. And I'm a mental performance coach because I studied physical therapy and psychology. So I put it
Mm,
together, the fighting, the physical therapy, the psychology, and created the MAP, the Mindful Athlete Program. This is the program I teach athletes, also people in business. And yeah, I do a lot of things.
nice. So, what do you? Because I know people probably, if they watch this, are going to wonder, or if they listen to it, they'll wonder what is the coaching that you do exactly. Like, if I was coming to you, what would you do? Like, how would you help me out? Like, what? Just
So mostly athletes. Before that, let's say that now it's changing actually since a year, but mostly people come to me when they have focus issues, maybe attention, emotional regulation, something, maybe anxieties, fears about something. They want to accomplish something. They want to maybe get more mindful, since I'm a mindfulness meditation teacher.
nice,
I like that.
mindful.
I'm
Yeah, me
not so
too.
mindful by myself sometimes. You know how it is. You teach it to all the people, and then I get so not mindful. But best example. But
Yeah,
that's why I'm a mindfulness teacher, and I deal with all those topics because I just feel there's so much potential to our minds, brains, and bodies, which we never tap into because of wrong programming, many things, right?
yeah.
Went maybe suboptimal in our past, and I'm trying to straighten that out. So
Wow, that's awesome. Now tell everybody how you met me. How'd you meet me? It's a dark
met in
alley.
this.
She tried to rob me.
Yes, exactly. No, really, you came to me because you have an emotional regulation problem. We know that. We know that, Mitchell.
Matt's over there
Uh,
shaking his head right now. He's like, "Yep, she's right."
this guy is
Screw you,
uncontrollable.
Matt. Screw you, pal.
Yeah, we met in the London Real course, the business accelerator, which taught me that I'm not so mindful because I freaked out about technology in this course. And I think I learned a lot, but I met amazing people, and that's even more so important. And that's how we met, because we were on one team. And I think we all had our struggles.
Yeah,
I learned
definitely.
a lot about myself. Actually, that's a self journey, that course. It's a self development
What did
journey.
you think you learned the most about yourself doing the course?
Um, You know what? I think really because technology. I mean, I deal my
Mm,
whole
okay.
life with brain, mind, and body. Right?
Yeah,
That's where, if you can say you're an expert in something, although I think you never can really say that you're an expert in something, because
sure.
it's how much we usually know. I mean, it's so little compared to all the knowledge there is. But that's my comfort zone: brain, mind, and body. And technology isn't. And then also I was just overwhelmed by all of the sudden talking to so many people and the chats and everybody. Of course, you want to contribute, you want to comment on things, and yeah, it was. Yeah, I think actually I got towards the end very little mindful
Yeah.
and very emotional. It was an interesting experience that out of the comfort zone you can. Usually, I'm pretty stable, and I'm pretty. It's all right, right? I mean, I'm joking about the mindful a little bit because I do a lot of meditation. Everything is routine habits in my life. I like that, and so all of a sudden I was out of my routine, and I mean, you know that. When was it when I almost cried? I think over Mailchimp, the setup. I
No
had
way,
a
really?
little
Jesus
me who
Christ.
usually, I teach people about composure and accepting and
Yeah,
self
man.
knowledge, and then I was like banging my head on the table over
Oh my
Mailchimp.
God. Yeah, MailChimp is such a
Mailchimp is an email
bitch.
automation, which I still say it's Mailchimp because they want us to be crazy chimps, like running around with crazy chimps. I'm just saying, it can't be a coincidence, but
yeah, maybe we should start our own one and call it Male Human.
Yeah,
the evolved version of male chimp. What do you think?
Yeah,
right?
Who knows if we're more evolved? We have also more problems than the chimps, so.
That's true. They live life a lot more happy. They just breed, eat bananas, have the occasional fight.
Definitely a little bit less
grab their genitals.
overanalyzing, overthinking.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely less.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's a crazy thing. So, for people that don't know, also, you, what is your ethnicity? Where are you at? What country are you from? What accent are you speaking with?
With the accent, I can't tell you even, because people say that I keep changing my accent. It's called where I am, right? It's
yeah. Well, hold on one sec. Matt, what do you think her accent is? Or you might already know what she is. What do you think her accent sounds like?
Well, isn't she German?
Ah, dang it, he knew. Yeah, he's right. You're Jamaican. That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, man, come on down right here now.
Yeah, maybe it's now more German because I spent time in Germany. But then when I was in New Zealand for a few months, it changed again. When I'm in the Netherlands for a few months, again, it gets like a Dutch background.
Yeah.
So I guess my brain is very plastic when it comes to that, adapting pretty fast.
Did you ever actually compete in the UFC at any point? I always wanted to ask you. No? Okay.
Because I was a professional kickboxer. I did,
you just did kickboxing.
MMA, but that was it was just for fun.
Yeah. So you've always done have you ever done cross-trained with like grappling and ground stuff like jiu-jitsu or wrestling and stuff like that? Okay. Cool. It's really awesome. Yeah, I dabbled in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I'm trying to get back into it again. I'm trying to find a really good gym here locally in Birmingham that I want to get into to do it again because I love doing jiu-jitsu. It's super. It reminds. It's like human body chess, right? Like it's not even. I remember taking it the first time, and the instructor, like I was rolling, which is what they call sparring for jiu-jitsu. You would know that. And I was rolling with this gentleman, and I was like, and I was like going really hard, and I was like throwing him on the ground, and then my instructor came over there, and he was like, "Whoa!" He's like, "Dude," he just stopped. He spread us apart. He's like, "Dude, chill, bro."
Yeah.
He's like, "Chill." He's like, "Jiu-jitsu isn't wrestling. It's not like whatever you're doing." He's like, "I mean, you're tough. That's fine." He's like, "This is about leverage. It's about technique." He's like, "You flow." He did that. He did this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was like, "It's light, man. This is how a 150-pound guy can tap out or choke out a guy that's a 250-pound man that's on top of him because of technique and lightness. He doesn't panic. He doesn't struggle. He doesn't strain. There is athleticism to it, definitely." He's like, "But light." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I tried to integrate that concept, and I started getting it, And anyway. It's a beautiful art form, beautiful self-defense.
For sure. And I mean, it's a life philosophy, right? I mean, there's a lot of philosophy to that, right? Be like water. Just if you resist all the time and you get tense and you put so much pressure, usually, of course, the outcome will be, not so, how to say it in English? It's a lot easier when you flow, when you're natural, when you're easygoing, right? Then everything in life kind of falls into place. But we don't believe in that because our culture, we're just so much structured, like hard, go forward. That's our culture. And it's the same in striking. Like, of course, it's a little bit different than BJJ because a big striker and a small striker, it's always hard to really compare.
Yeah.
So the weight makes a big difference.
Yeah, because if you're getting hit in the face by a 275-pound guy, it's not going to feel the same way I'm getting hit in the face by like me or whatever. So it's
or you get low kicks or a head kick from someone who's like 50 kilos more than you. I mean, you feel that really.
But then also, generally speaking, like obviously for a heavier weight fighter, they move slow, right? Because they have more mass on the organism, so they can't move as fluidly. That's why like a welterweight is like really fast, and like a heavyweight moves kind of more. Slower, I guess, or whatever.
Although when you look at Tyson Fury, right?
Oh yeah,
Gypsy King, because I mean he's huge, of course he is, but he flows. And I got the chance like a few years ago to train with them for 3 months with the team.
Oh wow!
And
but he towers over you. You're like looking up at him like this.
Yeah, for sure. First, he's a very, very nice man. Really, truly, really caring. The whole team. I loved training with the team, and just the way how he moves around and floats and all the movement he's in. I mean, of course, people who watch boxing know there's nothing new, but that's why he's unpredictable.
Right.
He's constantly rolling, moving, floating around. And it's amazing how fast he can be out of that movement. And I tried to implement that in the last 10 years. Like also my striking style is very, very movement based. So
well, it's a lot about footwork too, right? With striking.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you're, yeah,
it's a lot of footwork. It's a lot little angles, finding, little movements who loosen you up, like, and then also to divide this tension between the legs, in the torso. You can be loose here, straight. So it's a lot like tiny movements, and I love it. But when I started 10 years ago with that philosophy, people were laughing. It's like, oh no, it's just like, especially in kickboxing, it was like very rigid. Like it's like standing.
Yeah, right.
Like a rock, like a mountain, and boom, boom, boom. And so when I started doing that style, people were laughing. And now, I mean, look at that.
Everybody's got the finesse now. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Actually, I like when you see that something is evolving. And maybe I was a little bit too early because people they were like, no, I don't want to do this. I just want to strike hard, spar hard. And especially like Polish mentalities like that, they want to spar 12 rounds. They love it. And which is good because when you train them, they barely tell you they don't want to do it anymore. Or they're like, oh, I'm tired. Like you will see it, but they will not say it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's also a good fighting mentality, but yeah. Like I think it's actually everything comes like that's life philosophy. There are certain universal laws or rules we have about life, and a certain kind of philosophy applies to everything you do. And that's the funny thing about life, that whatever you do, podcasting or MMA, you learn basically similar things about yourself, about life, about how it works.
You can always interconnect all of those things and like. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So how does a lovely, beautiful woman like you, or I guess at the time you would have been a lovely, beautiful girl, get into a sport where you get punched and kicked in the face? How in the world did you get into, such a violent art?
I think it was almost, it's interesting. In the first moment, I would say it was a natural process, but it was not because I'm very soft-hearted.
Yeah,
also,
absolutely.
Actually,
if I didn't know you and we just talked for the first time or met you, I would never ever assume that you did mixed martial arts or kickboxing or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Never. And then when I found out, I'd be like, "What? No way! Not this girl."
So two things about that. One thing is like that at the end, like on the top level fighting, because I fought professional, right? So for the world class fighting, like to stay there and to win the world championships, I was too soft. That was exactly it. I had the skills, the eye, the technique, everything was on top. And everybody still who trained with me or trains like, wow, technique is just, wow, eye is good. Everything is so refined. Yeah. But I don't have the killer instinct. And that's something, it's very hard to teach someone. That killer instinct, that you have to have it.
Right, I got you.
But then on the other hand, how when you say, oh, maybe someone is starting really back down and someone's starting somewhere in the middle, and then still at the end of their career, maybe the one who started a little higher is still high up, accomplished a little bit more, right, than the other one. But the one who started so low went such a long way. And I was like this. Maybe I didn't finish as the world champion. I was a European champion, which is still good, right? But compared, right, to, let's say I'm comparing myself to the top 10 now.
Okay, yeah.
World. So I didn't end up maybe a world champion, but I made a huge jump development, a huge path from where I started, because I was so soft. My body is not even made for this. I was a chubby girl, very chubby, very soft, very fragile also. I had a lot of injuries. My body was not built for this, but I just built it over the 20 years in the sport. Like this year, it's 20 years. I just built it step by step by step. And I built my mind also. My mind got like from this whiny little, very shy girl who I sometimes still remember, and I fall back into her. I'm like, okay, slap it out of me.
Sure.
But I learned it, right? So I tell the people always, I am the example for that you can go really far with focus, with discipline, with repetition, no talent, and then also no physically talented, really. But I did it again and again and again, and I put so much awareness and strength and everything into it. And I really went pretty far. I mean, I could have been for sure better, but that's
Let me back up for a minute, because I got into a tangent and stuff like that. But so what was it now that got you into kickboxing? No, you're fine. It was my bad, because I started talking about whatever. But like, what are did you get in a lot of fights in school? Is that why you, or like?
Oh, no. Actually, I'm sorry. It was totally but that's how, when I went, I'm like, oh, the sport I just love my sport. It was actually that I was dating a guy, and he told me, I keep it very short now. I was in love, and you know how this, the first guy you really like, wow, you're like, this is the guy you marry. I mean, you have the whole thing. And then he was sitting in front of me this one day, and he was like, Daria, you're really smart. And I was like, oh, great. You have a beautiful face. I'm like, oh my God, this is the dream. And he's obviously with 16, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And yes, and then he told me I am a little bit overweight, and I should maybe start considering training.
Oh, wow. Okay. He was doing kickboxing or just boxing?
Yes, kickboxing.
Okay.
And then, when you're so young and fragile like me, that devastated me. So for a month, I went back crying.
Yeah. Gave you a complex, you think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But, and then I walked out, and then I walked into the gym, and then it took me another few weeks to really step into, I was in front of the gym, and I was like, okay, this one day. And then I said, oh, is this guy training here? And they're like, yeah. What are you guys doing here? Muay Thai and kickboxing. I'm like, okay, I want to do this. So I started the sport out of basically of ego, a hurt soul, a hurt ego.
Yeah.
And I started, but then a few weeks in, I was like, oh yeah, actually, I think that's a good sport for me. I intuitively knew that it will make me tougher in a positive way, right? More resilient, stronger in my body, stronger in my soul. And intuitively, right? I was not aware about that, but it was something what just drew me into it, although it was so not natural for me. So that's how I started.
Do you think it also helped to improve your emotional sensitivity about yourself, like to compete and train and all that stuff?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is what I have maybe by nature, but it taught me, when you're very sensitive and very fragile, you kind of know yourself, but sometimes you're too sensitive to look deeper.
Yes, I know what
So
you mean.
You have to get into extreme situations to really look deep, and like look, because you're afraid. I was one of those kids or young girls who's always afraid of everything. I didn't want to stand out. I'm afraid of my own shadow. And but fighting and sparring, let's say, also when you train first, it's just hard, right? It's okay, but you keep going, hitting the back. But then when you do partner work and you have people who are stronger, faster, dominating you, it's a scary feeling.
I can imagine, yeah.
But I had a very tough team. They were not the nicest guys, and they were not very thrilled about having the girl there, especially one who's not very talented. And just, I didn't look like a fighter. I'm still not, but I am.
Yeah, I know you are. I've seen
but
it.
Now I can say it, but back then I didn't. So I was a lot like friction there. But it made me tougher, and I'm really thankful that they were like this. Not that I'm friends with them. I'm still not.
Okay, sure. Shouldn't be. Those meanies.
But, they treated me really rough and not in the best way. But it pushed me forward. And they made me face all my fears. I mean, that sport, that hard training, for sure. And so that's a good thing about fighting, that I always tell the same thing about it. You can hide everywhere in life, right? You can compensate. You can just try to move out of a situation. You know what I mean? Like like walk around, not meet certain people. But in fighting, you're just there, and then you're there in the sparring, and you have to do something. There's no way out. I mean, you can always say, "Oh yeah, I will stop the sparring," but in a fight, even more so, right? I mean, you cannot just turn around and walk out the ring. And so you face your fears and you face your true self, and everybody sees it. So it's healthy, very healthy.
Yeah. Wow. Have you ever gotten knocked out before?
No,
Like out cold, just
nothing.
no.
No,
You
nothing.
ever close? You ever get rocked where you're like you're almost
Yeah,
out?
rocked. Yeah, rocked for sure. A few
Yeah.
times. Actually, I had a once in sparring with Andy Sauer, who's a very, very famous kickboxer. And I'm still really good friends with him and work with him. And I just went there to the Netherlands and we sparred like, I don't know, maybe 18 years ago. He was a superstar and I was like, wow. So I finally, or maybe 16 years ago, finally get to spar with him. And then, yes, we sparred. And then all of the sudden, Mitchell, I swear, I'm like, something hits my back in the head, like hard. And I'm dropping the hands and I'm turning around and I was like, who kicked me in the head? I'm sparring with Andy. Who kicked me? Who hit me in the head from behind?
Oh my God.
And so it was just that he moved so fast, which he still does, that he just moved in an angle around me and kicked me and hit me. And I said, it was so fast that my perception, my brain, and that's how the brain is, right?
Yeah, right.
Explain that situation couldn't be that guy possibly because I didn't see it. So I made up the whole story about someone hit my head.
That's wild.
And he's like, what? Are you okay?
Wow. And this guy sounds deadly fast too to do something like that.
He was one
because you're a very perceptive person too. I know that you are. Like, you watch things, you use pattern recognition and all this stuff. So for you to miss that, this guy must have been fast.
I was younger also, right? I mean, now it's like that. My intuition about everything and my skills, knowledge, everything now is different. But I was super young and I was just just out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's good though that you haven't been knocked out, because obviously, I've heard that the more you get knocked out, the more damage to the brain it sustains and all this stuff. That off switch.
For sure, but also the constant shake of the brain, even when you hold pads. Like, that's why a lot older coaches, the boxing coaches, when they hold pads, you get the shake in the brain constantly because it moves, travels, of course, like when you hold the pads, right?
Yeah.
So it travels through your arms, shoulders, back, and then the brain gets like micro shakes all the time. So that's not good either. Every sport, even it's like cross biking, every sport, you have a lot shaking with that. It's not really optimum for our brains.
Yeah. I remember sparring with a good friend of mine named, shout out to Matt Holder. If you ever watch this, man, love you, miss you. But he's an instructor for Krav Maga. I'm sure you've heard of that before. But before that, me and him were training at this gym that kind of did a watered down Krav Maga, but really they did like cross training with like jujitsu, and they did Thai boxing. That's where I did the jujitsu I was telling you about, the Brazilian jujitsu. And me and him would spar sometimes at his apartment. I remember one time we sparred and we had headgear on, and man, I remember he was just hammering me with lefts and rights, and he got me in the corner, and I mean, he's tough. Like, he's like a Tasmanian devil. And I pivoted and I did a spinning back fist, and I caught him perfectly on the button, and his knees buckled. And this guy, he's real stout. He's broad shoulders, thick legs, big trunk. Like, he's tough. And it buckled him, and he was like, at that point, he's like, all right, okay, we can call this session. He's like, man, I saw white. And then he was trying to analyze about how I got the drop on him. And I was like, well, I mean, you were like covering me, so there's an opening to the side because you were just hammering me just straight forward. But if he watches this, he's probably like, yeah, you got lucky doing that now. Try to spar with me now and see if you can do that. He'd probably kill me now because he's way
interesting, that competition also, that healthy competition between us, because as human beings, I mean, how much do we fight physically? We don't. I mean, in a healthy environment, right, in a controlled environment, it's really good. It
really is. I agree with you.
It's playing a little bit harder. Yes. And at the end, I always tell the people, I'm usually like this, you do peaks, and I'm like, oh, I don't like that. But then when I go train, all of a sudden it's gone. I learned it, right? I conditioned myself to it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I enjoy to play with my friends. And people are like, oh, but this is not good and that's not good. Yeah, you get a liver shot, you get some low kicks, and maybe your knee blows up a little bit. But honestly, what it does to you on the body, on the physical and on the psychological level is just so good. If it's controlled, right? If it's all professional, it's amazing. You feel yourself, so you're in contact with yourself, with your body, your mind. In the same moment, you're so aware, you're so present. It's good, and it's good for us, for all of us, to get tougher mentally and physically, because we all lack that. Even when I don't spar for a few months, I get so soft, I'm a crying baby, and then I have to meditate a lot over this to balance it out.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Absolutely. It's just something about it's kind of like it also it makes you honest too, right? Like it's an honest thing to do, and it teaches you about yourself. Like what can you handle? What can you, because when I used to go to these gyms and with me and Matt, like we did that one sparring session, but then we rolled a lot and we would just mess around trying to take each other's backs to get the rear naked choke on, and he would get me and choke me out and make fun, and then and it was just, but it was good, like to struggle with another human body. That struggle there's something very freeing about it. 100%. Yeah, I know.
And also to be fine, to be just like your real self and your ego, right? Always two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And your ego is always ranting about everything. This guy is controlling me. This girl is this. She's more pretty. This guy is more successful, more rich, whatever. This is the ego, right?
Yeah.
But your real self is connected, is loving, is curious. And so you get closer to discover your real self once you get over the ego shit, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning is all ego rant and some people have it less and some more. It's actually, I find it very interesting to observe with my fighters I train. And some have, of course, a strong ego as, oh my God, and they need years to start to control it. But eventually they get there, and some people don't have it. But all of us have it, kind of. And so you just move closer to your true self, because you learn that it's fine to be controlled. There will be always someone who's better or stronger in life, right? Also in life. More lucky, they have a better day, or they eat this spaghetti and you didn't, or other way, right? Or they took their aminos and you didn't, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many ways why it can get like someone can win over someone else, and it's good to learn that, right?
Yeah, I love your analogy about it. It's like you're just playing, but a little bit harder, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
it is
and you do it with your friends, and
and you know what I find so fascinating about mind and body is just like that we set the boundaries very often, right?
Yes.
I'm not meaning like if you stab someone, they will bleed. I mean, that's a fact, right?
Right.
But in like how much we can take physically and mentally, I mean, the range is huge from where we can be and where we are. And it's just something I tell the people, like walking over coals or sitting on the nails, those people who lie on this all those extreme things, they seem extreme, but you start with a little bit, right? You start with a little bit and you add up. Yeah, it's like running a marathon. For me, oh my God, I don't know how to do it because I hate running.
Yeah.
But of course you train into it, and it's the same with fighting sports. And you would be surprised. And I know people always look at me like, you look so soft. And yes, until you see me in sparring and you kick my face and I get a little bit angry, then you'd be like, oh. But I learned it, right?
Yeah.
I get just a little bit angry though.
Yeah, I've seen you in some training videos and some fighting videos I've watched. I stalked you online when I first found out you were in our group, and I was like, oh, we got this lady on here. And you're almost like a different person. Like you channel this thing and something clicks and you're just a different, you're still the same Daria, but what you're doing is almost like it's like a different human being. And that's such a cool dynamic to see. And not just with you, with anybody. There's a lot of people out there that are like people that are very painfully shy and they can't do anything, but then they can get up and sing opera in front of thousands of people. And then you're like, that's insane. Like, how do you that switch, you just click on and off? It's crazy, but yeah.
No, but that's so interesting in us that once, you start and you play the role, right? That's how you start usually, because you're not usually you don't switch. Oh, this is my new me, right? You play a role for a while and you play it more and better, and you connect more and you develop different skills and more skills and you connect better, and then it is part of your authentic self. And then you all of a sudden, there's this one day I walked out and I was like, yeah, I'm a coach. Like, because as a fighter, I still, until the end, I had this killer instinct issue that I couldn't wake it up. But as a coach, I'm a fish in the water, and everybody who works with me is like, it's just unbelievable. What happens when you go on the mat? It's Daria. It's like, it doesn't matter how you look or that you're a female. It's like you presence gets so strong. Everybody in the room, they know that you're there, and you always speak soft, but there's no way we would question that. There's this strength behind this mountain behind that body and that face. And that's something I played the role, and not always it went well, right? But then this one day, I just walked out and I'm like, yes, I'm a coach, and I'm a damn good coach, and I can do it. And that it took me years, of course, because none of this leading people, fighting, getting hit or hitting people was my nature, but it developed into just also a real me. And I think it's important to share that with people, that sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it takes 15 years, right? But you get there. You want it, then you get it.
Yeah, definitely. I wish if I lived near you or vice versa, I would absolutely, without a doubt, not even thinking about this, get you to coach me. Be my coach, my striking coach. Although I think I say this now, but then I'd also be, because we're friends and I like you, then I'd be like, I don't know, I'd be kind of embarrassed. She'd see how crappy I am.
Oh, but you will see. And that's, that's another talent I think we all should work on, or talent or skill, that just when I give you my 100% and I'm there and I show myself the way I am, you won't be embarrassed. That's very often like that. The people are like shy and embarrassed until they see I show myself most of the times exactly how I am.
Yeah.
I'm vulnerable. I'm a mindfulness coach. Sometimes I'm not mindful at all. Sometimes I'm very emotional. Sometimes I'm, kind of angry and not mindful. But I show that, and I'm not perfect. But I still my mini step at my own pace, I get there. And I think when you show that to the people immediately, they start to mirror you. They start to understand, and then you will chill out really quick.
I wish more
Otherwise,
like
slap you really hard.
Oh, ouch.
That's what it's like.
Yeah. I wish that a lot of like people, especially here where me and Matt live, there was a lot of trainers that did martial arts or different disciplines that had your level of depth. And I'm not trying to be insulting. I hope if somebody watches, they don't get their feelings hurt, they get pissed off. But it's just that I've talked to a lot of people that train in some kind of athletic thing, even sports, not even like competitive fighting stuff, but just sports stuff, and they just don't have the same, like you said, mindfulness. And you have this mindfulness and this depth, and your critical thinking is just really, like, I've literally met some people that coach athletic things, and I've talked to them, and I've talked about kind of similar psychological things and emotions like we're talking about, and they've literally looked at me like, okay, just hit the bag, just hit the heavy bag, man. What are you talking about? And so I wish that more coaches like, and I feel like I'm saying, I'm like making, I'm not trying to like just I'm not crapping on anything, but I'm not just trying to like critique my own area, but I feel like even around like the United States and other parts of the world, that just a lot of people just don't have the same mindfulness you have. I think a lot of it has to do with your personality and your emotions, and then also you studied psychology too, so I feel like that has a lot to play in it. But it's just, I feel a reason why I would love for someone like you to be my coach is because, like, I feel like your level of understanding, right? Because a lot of people, they're trying to teach you something, and they're teaching you the way they understand it and hear, right? Not taking into account that this is a different human being. Synapses in the brain are different. Like, this person's going to move different and think differently. They look at this differently. How can I understand that and train them in a way they'll understand? And I feel like you are like that. I wouldn't know 100% because I haven't trained with you, but I believe it just by talking to you, knowing you.
Maybe you're right, because I hear that quite a lot from the people I train with. They always tell me that there's something special. But I also look like I compare myself to the best of the best, right? So when I look up someone, or I know some of the best coaches which I work with, right? So it's nothing that I have to watch it on YouTube, but even then it will be better to compare. If you just compare in your own field and on your own little village, it's a small world problem then, right? When you just live in this little world. And when I improve my skills and I want to improve something about me as a coach, I just look up to the best of the best, and that's it. And I compare myself. Am I there or not? Can I improve it? Can I even be better? Can I take something and make it better? And when it comes to that, I think I overcame my ego issues. I just I knocked on people's doors and I just asked them, like, for 10 years. And at the beginning, Mitchell, I came in and people were like, yeah, you can be here, but I don't know. I mean, if there were even some coaches, which I'm now friends with, right? And he's one of the best MMA coaches in the world in the States. Yeah, one of the 3 best for sure. One of the biggest MMA teams you guys have there.
Who is it? Who is it?
I don't say because
you can't say. Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine.
no, it's Henry Hoft. He's down in Florida, and he's amazing. We're good and friendly now with each other. We know each other for many years. But he told me once he won't train me for certain reasons because I had the wrong gender for this team.
No.
He wanted, but it's honestly, there was nothing wrong with that because I understand where he came from. But back then it was really hard to hear. Yeah, you're the only girl here in the team, and that's really hard for me. I don't think I can dedicate my time to you like this.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Right, and and it was right because back then when I trained with the Black Zillions, which was a huge team, Vitor Belfort was there, Anthony Johnson, Alistair Overeem, Tyrone Spong, Rashad Evans, Cosmo Alexander. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. Thiago Silva. I mean, the who is who of the MMA. That team was amazing.
Yeah.
And I trained with them for a few months, and I was back then I was 62 kilos. I don't know, it's 132 pounds, and I'm with guys who are like 120 kilos, right? I mean, how should I wrestle, do BJJ, and strike with them, right?
Yeah.
But so he was right, and then he basically told me, "Yeah, I won't train you," and it was devastating for me. I went home again crying and said, "Wow."
Aww.
But I always came back, right? And I still looked him up, copied a lot of this guy and this guy. And now people, now the doors are open everywhere, and people, most of the times, they give me a lot of respect for my skills. They share it with people. They forward me my skills as a striking coach, but also as a mental performance coach. And it was a very long path, right? People always say you just like with the podcast, right? You start something, and then once you're big and everybody knows you, people were like, "Wow, yeah, because you were so talented, you had it all." They don't, they didn't see you working and swiping the mats.
Yeah, and that's another thing too that you're talking about with the podcast. Like I keep telling everybody, like me and my partner here, Matt, we're in our infantile stage, but we still have to deal with some of the stuff people talking about, like, "Oh, what are you guys doing? You're not making any real money. This is stupid. It's not going anywhere." And those people that say that will never, ever do anything more important in their lives than what they're doing. They will never change the world. People will never remember their names. They will never change anything about themselves.
Fixed mindset,
and people, anybody listening to this needs to really think about that. Don't ever like shit on someone's dreams. I don't care how crazy you think it is, because somebody else had that dream and now they're doing it and they're living the life, right? You cannot crap on people because if you do that, it really just is a reflection of your own insecurities about what you can't do in life, not about what you can do. So
How often do we want to keep someone small because we know when they grow, we have to do the work? Like then that means like, or we stay behind, or we have to do a lot of work, and then we have so much blocks in it. If it's self-imposed or imposed of our environment, there would be time for another podcast episode. But we do that, right? Very often we not always like people to grow around us. We got better in that.
It makes people uncomfortable. People want you to stay in this box, this box.
Yeah.
And I've never subscribed to that way of thinking ever. Never, ever.
I did. When I was younger, I did. Because I was so, like I said, I was so, I was a very vulnerable child, very overly sensitive, kind of later than neurotic as a young girl. And
you neurotic now?
Yeah, maybe not in the full meaning of the way. Maybe in English it's also different. But I was very unstable and very sensitive. And that was a time where I did not like my teammates getting better, because that means like, oh my God, if I didn't get better, it's like, oh, I'm not good enough. Maybe it's the wrong work. I even didn't think about that. Maybe because I've put always work in, but maybe it was the wrong way. But it was just like this fixed mindset I had. But it grew. And now I have very rarely that I feel like, oh, someone is intimidating me. I mean, I train some of the baddest fighters in the world.
Yeah, no.
Although I'm getting soft, I'm older, I think, because sometimes when they spar really hard, I'm getting like, I feel it, Mitchell. I get like, oh my God, this was not there 2 or 3 years ago.
Yikes.
I'm getting older.
Oh no. You don't look like you're getting older. You look like you're like 27, 26. Right?
36
Is it
now.
you're how old? Oh wait, I shouldn't ask. That's not you're not supposed to ask a lady their age. I'm sorry. I'll just think you're 26. She's 26, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go with that.
And I started
Oh,
fighting.
some people are like, you went that even that's too old, Mitchell. Okay, she's 19. Is that better?
Please don't be. I don't want to go back to this age. I was terrible.
Oh my goodness. Are you going to be in you going to London in March?
Yes.
The graduation?
Of course. Yes.
Good.
Graduation.
I can't wait to meet you in person.
I told you guys I will train you guys. So
yeah.
You better.
I asked first though. I just wanted to put that out there. Just putting that out there. I asked first.
Yes.
You need to convince my friend Matt to come to London with me. Tell him right now. Tell him you'll beat him up.
Let me first see Matt, how big and strong he is. I won't say yes before I see him.
He's 6'7", 320. He's a power lifter. I think he's coming. Yeah. There he is.
That works.
Can you see him?
No, she's not going to see me.
Oh, she can't see you. Never mind. He was messing around with his computer stuff over there. Yeah, wow. So
I learned to shut my mouth sometimes now, which I always.
What do you mean? What do you mean, shut your mouth?
Before you call someone out to sparring, just take one look at least at them.
Yeah. I was making the joke about me sparring with you and taking you or whatever, and then Mo and all them we're like, oh yeah, let's see this.
Mo,
I was like, no, it was a joke. I don't want her to kill me.
I feel Mo would bet money on it. I see him throwing the money.
Yeah. and then Dunya's over there looking, and she's like, yes, I knew this was going to happen. She beat him up.
Exactly. That's how. Oh my God, that's funny. Yes.
How was it? So when you got to meet Dunya, that was really exciting, right? Dunya is another one of our classmates. If anybody wondering?
Yeah.
Was that really exciting because I know when I met Jeff for the first time, it was this weird, surreal moment because we see each other through means like this, artificial means, digital means, but then to see the person in real life, and I gave Jeff a hug, I gave him a big hug, and it was just awesome to just connect and all that. Mo and Lucifer are doing that today.
Yes.
I'm excited for him. Mo was texting me about it last night, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm meeting me and Lucifer hanging out," and I was like, so jealous. I was like, "You were my friend first, Mo. You and me were BFFs first." He's like, "Yeah, I felt the same way when you went and saw Jeff. I always thought I was going to meet you first and then Jeff, but you went and met Jeff. We're little girls."
No, it was really nice because it's always different, right? Once you really feel it's real and it's a real connection, you feel it with your body and with your heart, and you can actually see all those, the energy is different. It was really nice to meet her.
Well, me and several of the people in the Billhorn, we just clicked like that immediately. You meet people like that in life, and you make that click, and those people can be friends for life. I feel like you and Dunya have that. They just click like that.
Yes. And I think, it's something you have to work on also as a human being. Relationships is work. It's relationship skills, right? Communication skills. All of it is basically said already in our language, and you have to work. You have to put on the work in to build friendships, to build relationships. If you're not willing to put on in the work, which I think we do, at least we try. You blamed me on never calling you, so I might not have the best skills.
I got a chip on my I got a complex. I got a big complex.
I have to improve my communication skills.
I'm just not cool. I'm not popular enough. I need more friends, more followers. So I need more likes on my posts, and then she'll want to be my friend.
I know that a lot of people see it like that. It's so funny and so sad. That would define how many people told me, you train with some of the best people in the world, why you never posted on Instagram? And maybe it was a mistake and maybe not, because I just post my dogs and philosophy and nature, and it's all right in my videos, my little boring videos where I'm like the weather lady speaking without emotions. I don't know how I do it. The moment the camera goes on, I'm like, hello. And it's just unbelievable. It's just, I don't know what it is.
That was good.
Hello.
Hello. That was good.
Today the weather is sunny with a slight wind. There's a chance of rain, and I speak like that. Can you imagine? It's just like, and
Wow,
I'm a
yeah.
mental performance coach. I can't coach myself.
Yeah. Jeez
I failed
Louise.
at coaching myself.
Sorry. So what else turns you on? What else do you really like outside of like fighting and stuff like that, striking and all that? What else is like your big thing? You said dogs. Is there anything else that turns you on and you just love, your passionate about?
You know, I actually am very passionate about very little things. So, for example, now when I'm in Germany, I'm in my house here, and it's far away from the city. It's on a village. It's very calm, and there's nothing going on. And if I don't have to work, I can spend the whole day with like reading different books, listening to podcasts, walking around, drinking my coffee, and I get really happy. Like I get this really deep belly feeling, this warm belly,
the butterflies,
from deep inside you. Just sometimes when I sit and look at the lake, and so I'm very passionate about this little things, and I like to have people around also who are maybe similar, and that means that all the little things, the little meditation or what.
Yeah, me and my friend Suzanne, who's also in the Business Accelerator, Suzanne Preston. She's does Bliss and Chaos. She does yoga and like personal development. She's in Manchester. Yeah, we talked about the same thing about like little things, or just like how she'll sit by and just watch the sunset on the river, and how everybody else is just walking by like, what is this lady doing? What is she doing? And I'm like, what? Why would, like, you're witnessing like something that's like a visual miracle happen? Like, what do you mean? Like, people are just so.
But that comes down, to again, so to mention it again, but that's the real meaning of mindfulness and awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
You to be present, because when you're not present, when you're always in your head, in the past and in the future, right? Thinking about past events or thinking about what you will do in future. That's exactly it. It seems so easy, but it's one of the hardest things to do in our life. To be in the present, in the now, because everything in life unfolds in the details, right? It's the details.
Yeah.
Like the little things, what just make the bigger picture. And when you're not present, when you're not mindful, which you can't be, of course, all day, otherwise you'll be enlightened. But like the more you get into this present moment, right, the more you actually see it, and because it's not just about being here in the now. It's more about, because you connect so deeply, right? When you're more present, more aware, you're in the same. It's so interesting, because in one part of you is just so present and in the now, and you center your energy. But another function or thing, what happens is like that you start seeing the big picture, right? When you see the sundowner, you start to think, wow, look at this rock flying to the universe, right? You're like, you just like, whoa, your perspective and your mind blows up, and it's like, wow. Or when I drink this really good coffee in my in my nice robe, I'm in front of my house, people walk by, and I'm drinking my coffee in my robe, barefoot, and I go with my robe, I go to the lake with my towel, and it is freedom, it's life, it's like, so it just touches me so deeply. So I'm very passionate about all those things, and sleeping with my dog in one bed and stuff. He has her own pillow. So I like every morning when I wake up and I see her sleeping like a little angel on her pillow, I get very happy. So those things make me happy.
That's awesome. I thoroughly enjoy talking to you, Daria. I think that's why I got butt hurt that you don't ever talk to me. Because I really like talking to you. The time is just melted by on this podcast. Melted by from our conversation. I feel like we have really good natural chemistry with each other, like in speaking and just engaging in general.
But I think you make it easy for everybody to talk. Honestly.
How's that? Why do you say that?
It's just you, like I said right at the beginning, your communication and your language skills, and you seem so genuinely interested. I remember when we talked. I
really am. Yeah.
You asked. Yeah, I know. You just the energy. You're so real, and you have this humor. But I know this is just you. And it's so refreshing, and it's just when I remember, oh my god, how many questions you asked me when the first time we
the first phone call.
Oh my god, so wow, he just literally asked me everything.
Yeah, and
about
because you even made a comment about it, you're like, oh, that's kind of a, and I was like, oh, well, I apologize if it's too personal. I like to go deep. I was like, I don't
Yes.
really,
And that's
I
good.
don't
That's
stay on the
nice, right?
surface very much. Like I go deep. I like to take people deep too. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I thank you so much. That's so sweet. Right now, Matt's like shaking his head and he's like, oh no, not another
Oh,
girl giving him a compliment about something. His ego
Matt.
is already so big.
Matt,
This is coming from a psychologist, Matt. So f you, buddy. I bleeped my own self out.
but also someone told me today, I mean, not me, but my friend, her dad said, oh, you asked Daria about her opinion? Yes. She's too well behaved. She will never tell you the truth. So I was like, oh God.
What?
So
Oh
keep
my
that in
god.
mind. Keep that in mind. Older
Yeah.
people in the village think I'm such a nice person that I will never say the truth. This is not a good thing. So keep that in mind when I tell you the positive things.
Yeah, I couldn't. When we talked that one time, I couldn't believe how the stark, like comparisons of our mothers and about how they were
Yeah.
so similar. You know, like just the way they talk and
They
the way
drive
they're
the
brutally
same car.
honest. They drive the same car. They both have RAV4s by Toyota. They both have been married lots of times. They're both very brutally honest. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh.
and yeah, it's just super funny. Your mom's German, my mom is Asian, so
Yes.
it's
Very, very different cultures.
yeah,
And
very different cultures, but the same mom, the same kind of mom, just a
yeah,
mom, that
very,
mom,
very similar.
you know. So yeah, that's great. So let me talk about going deep. What right now? What is like one of the biggest things that you're personally like struggling with? Like, what's one of the biggest demons you're wrestling with, and how are you trying to beat it in life? And like what are you dealing with right now? If you'll share that.
It's a very good question you asked, I think, because just today I had a long talk about that I feel I can't find my voice. And it's not just the voice here, sometimes also the physical. It's just about how to express myself, right? Because when I did the videos, I said that now 2 times. When I do my videos and I do my digital product, I just lose my energy, right? You know me right now. I'm very just how I am, because you make it easy for me. I'm just very natural with you and authentic. And I put a lot of effort in being authentic, and I did that in my life, and it costs me. I mean, people don't always like that, right? When you're authentic.
That's true.
And
Yes.
because I'm actually, maybe the older men in this village don't think, because I'm really nice to them, but I'm brutally honest sometimes. But I speak with love, right?
Right. Yeah.
I want to be authentic, but also to find this balance. And it's not about even on the outside world. On the outside world also, I want to find the right voice, the right energy to talk to people so they understand who I am, but I'm still professional, let's say that, right? And the whole concept comes together. But it's something about an inner thing. And I think I'm still struggling exactly about knowing who I am. And it's interesting, right? Because I did so much self-development, but somehow it's that I develop really fast. My brain, sometimes like it's a few months and it went off. I can't believe sometimes how fast my brain developed in certain topics. And it's kind of like my soul didn't keep, like it's still behind, right?
I got you. Yeah.
So there are moments where one part of me develops really fast and the other is still trying to catch up. And then, so, you lose the authenticity because both is you, right? So you feel this is you, but this is also you. And I think maybe it's not a struggle because I'm not crying over it, but it's a deep work I want to do. I want to find my voice, find my authentic self even more, because sometimes this comes more out. Sometimes, there are moments where this part of my personality comes more, and sometimes it's okay because we are very diverse, right? We have many sides in us. But I want to put as much awareness in it, so I know I'm aware about, which part is coming out, and not just it's coming out like, oh, I want to be this me, and then all of a sudden I get really shy and very talk like a weather lady. I'm struggling with that. I don't want to be. I want more control, but not in a way, this aggressive control. Just in a way, more awareness about And again, it comes back to mindfulness, awareness, presence, which I can teach myself, but it doesn't work always. Right. So that's I think that if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes 100% sense. Yeah. The things that you talk about, another reason why I like talking to you too is just because the things that you say are so relevant to me. Like I feel like when I have a conversation with you, this is now me feeding your ego. I feel like my brain is being massaged, right? It fills me up with more education. Like I feel like like just this conversation, I've learned a lot about you and just in general in life. And this world is filled with so many people that they talk a lot, right? I've always told people this is my like analogy about how this goes. There's so many people out there and they're talking a lot, but they're not saying anything, right? And so I try to find people that whether they talk a lot or they don't, whatever they say, there's some meaning behind it. There's something that you can take and use. And I feel like that's you. You know, you can work on the pizzazz and the lights, camera, action aspect of it, and you'll get better at that, I'm sure, as time goes on, because I know you said you deal with that. But, I mean, I feel like you just got to keep doing what you're doing, Daria. I'm one of your biggest fans. And I think that you can go a long way with whatever you're doing, because I find you delightful. And I know you said a part of your talking to me makes it easy and stuff, but I feel like at some point you'll find that, like, that edge to where any conversation or any coaching session that you do will be like a conversation with me without me, you know? I feel like I see that for you.
You know, it's actually interesting about that authenticity, right? You, at the beginning, when you do something, you think it's all about, and it is, of course, you need knowledge, you need skills, right? To everything you do, and you improve them, the technical aspects of whatever you do. But I never realized until maybe this year that when I started doing videos, right, people are like, oh man, I just really like your energy on the videos. I don't even mind about, maybe it is a little bit boring voice, whatever. Some people say yes, some people no. But everybody said, not everybody, but a lot of people told me, Daria, it's your energy. When you coach me, it's, of course, you have a lot of knowledge, which if I don't have knowledge, my energy wouldn't help, right? But it's together. And I just put a lot of emphasis in the last 15 years in educate, because I'm constantly educating myself. And I hold on to that so much in the last 15 years that I did not really realize that it's my energy. People, when I'm most, it's so interesting. When I'm just me, like I'm now, right? And I'm sometimes giggly and sometimes emotional. And from what I saw in the last podcast, and I get this, and then I get all of a sudden, I look really like serious, and I'm giggly and I'm serious. When I'm like that, and that's me, people like me the most, and they connect the most. And then also the transfer, if it's knowledge, if it's emotions, if it's feelings, goes the best, right? It's the most transferred is like when I'm authentically, people get it. I know we know that by mind, but emotionally to understand is sometimes a bit different.
I couldn't agree more. Wow. So I want you to go ahead and plug in your business, how people can follow you on social media and get a hold of you and get your program or anything you're selling or doing. Plug it in, let people know how they can get a hold of the awesome Daria Albers and her mindfulness program.
So they can find me on Instagram, Daria Albers, and on Facebook also, Daria Albers. There's always just one with that name, the Polish-German name. And I have a website, dariaalbers.com, but it's still in progression right now because of the course. We're redoing everything. And I like when people just write me personal messages, and I'm willing to answer most of the questions. They're not regarding my shadows.
Okay. No. Gotcha.
Yes, that's where they can reach me.
Or
in the gym, just come and spar with me.
Yes, you just come spar with her. She's super awesome. And you're right. But what you said earlier, you do have a really great energy. It's this very warm, open, almost like motherly. We had a conversation about this motherly energy.
Damn, yes, energy. I hear that a lot. And I don't.
Not like you're a mom. You're not like, it's just the energy of a mom, a cool mom, not a mom that would sit there and like, you know, have a good conversation with you about stuff and not just like yell at you about your shoes being on the floor. Like,
Yeah.
just the energy. When I look at you, I'm not like, oh, look at this mom over here. No, never thought that. Not once. Just saying. But you have that energy, you know, that, you know, because, you know, everybody feels comfortable around their mom, right? Like I know around my mom, I feel very comfortable. You know, I'm just like very loose and comfortable. And I feel like you have that energy that people can be comfortable around you. Yeah. And I think that's really what it is.
Yeah, I think that I had it when I was really a lot younger also, but I had to grow into it. Because people told me that before already, like even when I was really young, and I didn't like that. And also, I don't know. I don't know even myself. I don't know. No, because a mom is all about like someone who cares, someone who's honest to you and authentic, and really brings you along the path, and will always, you know, treats you with love, but is still very strict. You know, all those things we imply with this mom figure. She's like the mom of the world, and they tell me that they tell me like you have this motherly energy, but then you really kick our ass, but with love, right? I have this these two sentences, mantras, like is lead with love and then empower people. And that I think I hopefully reflect that, because I mean that's what I believe in. So
mother's the name of God on the lips and hearts of all children. This was such a wonderful, man. I literally could sit here and talk to you all day. All day. I had so much fun, and it was a great conversation. Like I don't even know where the times went. It's insane. But did you have fun talking with me today?
Yes, absolutely.
You got to be on the podcast again. Definitely. I'm gonna get your buddy. I'm gonna get Dunya on here. Soon. I'm gonna get her on here soon if she wants to. I still don't know if that woman likes me or not. It's really hard to tell.
It's because she speaks so British sometimes.
Yeah, she's very stern and serious. But she's the first conversation I had with her, we got pretty deep too. She was talking about a lot of insecurities and things that she had or something. And yeah, she's sweet. So I'm gonna definitely try to get her on the show.
Amazing woman. Wow, I look up so much to her. Right. Wow, that skill set she has, I mean, totally different from mine, right?
Yeah.
That's why we clicked also. We have similar values, ethics and morals, but we have such a different skill. She's just incredible in what she does.
Yeah, you offer something to her that she doesn't have, and vice versa. Yes.
Yeah.
That's how me and Matt are. You know, he knows all like stuff about tech stuff. I don't know anything, and then
I need Matt.
Yeah, everybody needs Matt. Matt's going to be a popular guy in the future. People are going to pay him some big money to set up their tech stuff. Heck yeah, that's going to be one of his side jobs outside of the Wrestling Diaries. I see it right now. Daria, you are a lovely, 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 lovely lady, and it's my pleasure, my honor to have you on my show. And I appreciate it. I want you to come back at some point soon. I'm going to have you on. It'll probably be like a 2-year waiting list, but that's okay.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get you on again, definitely. You are beautiful. You're wonderful. You're so elegant, eloquently spoken. I appreciate you, and I hope people have enjoyed this when they watch it now, live or later. Check out all of her stuff. Find her on social media. And ladies and gentlemen, this was another episode of the Wrestling Diaries, where we find out what people struggle with, how they overcome it, and just the wonderful ideas that regular people from society have. Tell me, what do you wrestle with, and how can you beat it? One love.